Hey YouTube, welcome back. It's me, it's Offbeat Hero, that one guy who keeps making taxes brews. But have I got a special video for you today? We're doing something a little bit different. I mean, do I say that every video? Are we always doing something a little bit different? But no, this time, this isn't technically a live gameplay video. Spoiler alert, I 5-0'd with this list yesterday. Good old-fashioned blue-white taxes, baby. It's back in business. We're doing the thing. We're slamming the wins. We're destroying the metagame. We're turning it on its head. We're reinventing taxes. We're doing all these crazy things, trying some new stuff. But so what we're gonna do actually today is we're gonna go over we're gonna watch the replays of the 5 games together. I'll do some commentary over the top of the plays and decisions I made during those games, because they were not only was it a 5-0, and I'm here to milk that 5-0 clout, but we're also here to just look at some really sick lines. There are some super cool games. A lot of them are very hard. A lot of them has a very cool niche interactions. I just want to kind of show these off. And then maybe you can apply it to your own taxes gameplay when you're at your LGS or playing an MTGO. But first, let's talk about the list. We're going to do a little bit of a learning session here, a little bit of a lecture session here on blue-white taxes. This is going to be the deck tech of the list. So I've been working on blue-white taxes for a while. I was working on it before Neo, but after Crimson Vow. And I was a little stuck on some spots, and I didn't really know what the fix was. We played a list very similar to this earlier this week, or over the last 2 weeks, and we went 4-1 into 2-3, and didn't feel very good. So I was like, all right, let's try to reevaluate. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? So what I want to bring to everyone's attention here is we're going to go to let's go to MTG Top Elite here. Maybe this would be a better resource than MTG Goldfish. But go to your favorite deck building site, or where they record all these fancy all these fancy tournament result lists. Let's go into Modern, and let's take a look at decks that are similar to ours from a conceptual level. We're not talking about decks running Thalia or decks running Sentinel. We're talking about fair, interactive decks, right? We're playing a very fair deck that wants to interact with our opponent, interact with the board, while trying to win the game, usually through combat damage, right? A deck that tries to run all out of answers. It's not linear. A lot of the cards depend on what your opponent is doing, right? This isn't Belcher. This isn't like Hammer. This isn't like Rhinos, where you have a very narrow game plan and you're just trying to execute it. You don't care what your opponent's doing. You're just trying to do your thing, kill them as fast as possible, right? We're not trying to slam a hammer on something and then just bash them for 10 twice in a row. We're not trying to get to 4 lands and then combo off, play Belcher, and kill you. We're trying to stop what your opponent is doing and then kill them with creature damage, generally. So, where does that leave us? Taxes has been a weird spot for a while, and I'm trying to figure out, what are we doing wrong? What's Taxes doing wrong here? So I want to compare it to other fair decks. We're going to compare it to Death Shadow. We're going to compare it to Blue-Red Aggro. These are all interactive decks. Jund, Rakdos Aggro. See, now we're down to the 1%. We don't really care about these decks. We're talking about these top decks that are doing well. Jund, Death Shadow, Murktide, Black-Red, or Rakdos Aggro, or whatever you want to call it. These shadow variants, these Black-Red decks. I personally, even though maybe the Rakdos Aggro doesn't run Shadow, these Black-Red decks are very similar in their game plan. I also want to look at Blue-White Control and 4C Control, even Jeskai Control. And then the combo decks we don't care, right? Because they're just trying to execute some sort of plan and kill you, right? This is not the fair decks. The fair decks are usually within control and aggro decks, with the exception of maybe Crushing Footfalls, Burn, Affinities are a bit different. So let's look at the blue-white control decks. Let's just do a compare on all these decks. And let's get out our fancy notepad here. Let's get out a notepad as well. There we go. All right. What I wanted to look at was the ratio of threats to answers. So answers, you know, you can call them removal spells, you can call them counter spells. Cheerios. And, you know, is discard an answer is discard removal? Not really, but it's also kind of like an answer. You know, it's trading card for card, right? I want to look at how many cards these decks are running that answer your opponent's cards and do nothing else, right? Cards that just say, you know, remove your opponent's thing, you know, counter opponent's thing, discard thing, right? One of those. So look at UI control. We're gonna, even though all these decks basically run 4 of Archmage's Charm, except for like this 1, 3 of here, we're gonna ignore Charm. Because while it is a counter spell and while it does steal, it does draw. So we're not gonna, you know, we're gonna be a little bit strict with our criteria here, just to really drive the point that I'm gonna try to sell here in a second here. Counter spell, only counters a spell, does nothing else, just remove a thing. So we have UI control. And I'll swear to calculator too. Calculator. So we have 4 counter spells. Right. Cryptic does other stuff. Veto, we're not going to count because it's so low on the spectrum here. We're going to, because this is the average of all these decks, right? This is like the average count over here. It's only going to go with like the whole number average counts. Fire Ice, fire is removal. So we're going to go +1. 4 +1. Right, counter spell, Fire Ice. It does also draw a card, but I mean, you know, it's flexible here. So you know what? Let's even just not include Fire Ice because Ice isn't a removal spell. Force Negation, I'm not going to count. Mirror doesn't count. Prismatic Ending, 3.9. So basically a 4 of. So we're going to go +4. So now you have 8 removal spells. These spells do nothing but get rid of the opponent's stuff. Verdict, just a removal spell. So we're going to go +2. Time Raveler, I would consider a removal spell. It bounces, right? That's kind of what that's what it does. We're gonna go 3.6. I mean, mostly running 3, some 4s. We're just go like plus. We'll go +3. We'll round it down even. So we have 13 now. 13 spells. Right, and this doesn't include oh no, we also got Solitude 3.8. Let's add another 3 Solitudes in there, 16. Right, and this does include reusing with Snapcaster Mage. We didn't include Archmage's Charm, right, 'cause that draws cards sometimes. We didn't include Chalice of the Void, even though that counters things. We didn't include Cryptic. We didn't include Fire Ice. We didn't include Force Negation. We didn't include March, even though that's getting played now. We didn't include so we didn't include Spell Pierce. Didn't include Spreading Seas, even though that kills Urza Sagas. We didn't we didn't include Surgical. It's a little cute. We didn't include Fairy Herb Dominator, even though that does have a minus that removes the thing. We didn't include the Emperor, even though that also removes the thing. And still we got to 16. We have 16 cards that just like delete something. Right. Now, done with UI control, let's look at 4C. Let's see what 4C is doing. So we're going to do the same kind of exercise. We're just going to count how many spells just like delete a thing. You know, a card that says counter that card, remove that card, discard that card. And only the ones that have like a sufficient amount. So we have Fury. Fury gets rid of stuff. So we have clear. So we have average 2 Fury. All right, Ice Fang Codal, kind of removal, but you know what? We're not going to count it. You know, maybe we'll come back to it. All this other stuff doesn't remove. Does it remove? Does it remove? These don't count. Solitude 4 plus 4 Solitudes. I have 6. Creatures. So that's for the creatures. Other spells. Counterspell 3 plus 3 counterspells. That's 9. No, can't include Force. It's too low on the list. Lightning Bolts. Maybe we'll come back to Lightning Bolt, but I'm going to ignore Bolts. It's also a burn spell. But Also removal spell. We're going to ignore March, even though it's at 0.6. Prismatic Ending, +4. 13 spells. We're going to ignore Spreading Seas. We're going to ignore Verdict. Ignore Tamiya. We're going to include Teferi, +4. Ignore Time Warp. Ignore Unholy Heat. Ignore Red and 6, even though it pings. Alright, so that's the main deck of these decks. This is like the average cards they run, right? That's like 17 cards. 17 cards that just delete a thing. Right? And by only including these ones that are like a high amount, right? I know that a majority of the decks are running it, right? It's not like, some decks are running Counterspell, some decks are running Unhold, or are running like Ending. We can see all these decks, look, 4 of Endings, just across the board. Guaranteed 4 of. Counterspell, basically 4 of. Some decks don't run it, but I mean, mostly 4 of. 17 spells that just remove a thing. Let's look at Jeskai Control. So, of course, these are all control decks. So maybe this is skewed a little bit because they're supposed to have answers, right? We're getting to Shadow. We're getting to Shadow. We're getting to Murktide. We're getting to Jund. We're getting to Rakdos. We're getting there. Just bear with me. Hold out. Hold out a little bit. So we got, what are we on here? What is this? Jeskai Control? Jeskai? I think. Jeskai Control. Okay. Again, we're just going to count the spells that just remove things, and that's it. So you have Bone Crusher Giant. Too low doesn't count. Fury, we'll go 1 Fury. Even though it's at an average of 1.6, we'll go 1 Fury. Solitude, 3. We're at 4 removal spells. We're going to ignore Click. All the other spells are too low. Archerage's Charm also draws cards, so we're just going to ignore it. Blood Sun, nope. Chalice of the Void, we're going to ignore. Counterspell. +2. Two counterspells. Cryptic Command, +1. 7. Or actually, no, sorry, -1. Cryptic doesn't count, so it draws cards. It does things other than counterspell. Fire Ice, again, we're just going to ignore. Memory Deluge, ignore. Prismatic Ending, +4. 10. 1.6. +1 for Verdict. Time Raveler, +2. Alright, so we got 13. We got 13 for Jeskai. 13 removal spells. Death's Shadow. Let's look at... Alright, so these are the control decks. Now we're going to look into the more kind of fair mid-rangey decks. Alright, this is probably where Taxes... I would say Taxes is closer to Shadow, Murktide, Jund, and Black-Red than they are to these control decks. Alright. Let's take a look here. So, we're in Shadow. We're in Grixis Shadow. They're running... None of these are removal, so we can just ignore them. Other spells. Drown the Lock. That only removes stuff. Let's clear this. Drown the Lock. 4 ofs, basically. Except for this 1 3 of, this 1 2 of. So we're just going to put 4, because it's at fucking 3.9. 4. Plus... Fatal Push, we're gonna ignore. Fatal Push sucks these days. Inquisition, we're gonna ignore Discard Spell. Kolaghan's Command, that's a removal spell. +1 for Kolaghan's Command. Up to 5. Lightning Bolt, +1. Unholy Heat, +3. Alright, so we're at 9. We're at 9 here. A little lower, but we ignored all these discard spells. So we're gonna go Grixis, 9 removal plus, and then how many discard spells are they running? Because I mean, discard spells are, it's in a gray area. I find it's an answer to, it's not an answer, it's like a preemptive answer or something, right? So we have 2 Inquisition and Thoughtseize and 4 Thoughtseize. You have another 6. 9 removal plus 6 discard, which is again 15 cards. A lot of cards. There's Grixis. Let's look at Murktide. Compare these Murktide decks. This is Grixis Shadow. Murktide. Let's see. That's not a removal spell. Not a removal spell. We're going to ignore Charm. Because, I mean, it does other things. We're just going to ignore Charm. Counterspell. Again, most of these decks are running 4, so we're just going to go 4. Clear. 4 plus. Iteration is card advantage. Lightning bolts. Plus another 4. We have 8 now. Bubble's not it. Spell Pierce. Starting to run 2, but we'll ignore Spell Pierce. Unholy Heat. Plus, we'll go plus 3 here. Boom, 11. Alright, they're running like 11 spells that just delete your thing. Alright, this is ignoring Archmage's Charm. Yeah, that's about it. We ignored Archmage's Charm, even though it also is like counter target spell, but also like draw cards or like steal a thing, which stealing thing is also like removing the thing, right? Alright, let's about to get Jund. I think I'm starting to see what I'm getting at here. These decks are running a critical mass, or a critical amount of removal. Let's see. Blood Gas. Nope. Let's see. 2, Drainage Channeler. Nope. 3, Regivan. Nope. Eternal Wave. Nope. Those are not removal spells. We're going to only count the one. So 1 Fatal Push. Alright. 1 Fatal Push. Plus. We're gonna again ignore discard. 1 Kolgan's Command. Plus 1 Kolgan's Command. We have 2. Plus 1 Lightning Bolt. 3. We're gonna ignore discard. Plus Unholy Heat. Plus 2. And then we're gonna ignore Red Insect. It's not just removal, but it could be. So Jund has 5. But then plus how many discard spells? Let's see. And of course we're ignoring Abrupt Decay, which I mean your deck might be running. Inquisitions. We have 3 Inquisitions. Got the Lightning Bolt, got Clone 2 Thoughtseize. 5 cards. Plus another 5 discard. Alright, so I'll put it like 10 here. Boop! Let's look at finally these black-red Rakdos aggro decks. I believe none of these creatures are going to be removable. Drainage Channeler, Kroxa. Even though you could argue that Turok and Kroxa are removable because they discard. But we're gonna, we're just gonna ignore that. We're gonna be like, no, they do other things too. They're not just removal. Then we get into the spells. This is going to be black-red. We have... we'll count the discard now. No, we'll count discard after. Sorry, we'll count discard after. Kolgan's Command, 2. Lightning Bolt, 2. Bobble. Terminate, 1. Unholy Heat, 2. That's it. Save like 7 removal spells plus some number of discard, which of course does not include like we're still gonna not include Turok or like Kroxa, even though they pressure your opponent's cards. So it's just the straight discard. So we've got Inquisitions. We have 3 plus, and then we have Thoughtseize plus 2, another 5. Right, so over here with these discard spells, we have like 10, and we have like 12. All right. Now let's go back here. Let's open up Death Shadow again. Let's open up this one Death Shadow deck. So we have a Aluris deck, 60 cards. Death Shadow. This means that the deck is... if you just use 9 as the like generous number, 9 divided by 60, it's like 50% removal. Then if you add the 6 discard spells, so 15 divided by 60, the deck is like 25% like get rid of your shit. 25% removal. Murktide, 11 divided by 60, 18% removal. $10, a little lower. 10 divided by 60. 16% removal. And then we have Friendly Blackguard at 12. 12 divided by 60 is 20% removal. 20% removal. Let's see, 25%, 18%, 16%, 20%. Jeskai control. Let's go to 4C control, blue eye control, Jeskai control. For 4C blank, this is a Yorion deck. 4C 17. So we have 17 divided by 80. 80 card deck, 21% removal. 21%. Blue eye control. This is not a Yorion deck. 16 divided by 60. They're running like 26% removal. 26% removal. Let's go to Jeskai. Jeskai Lotus Field or Control. I'm try opening up Lotus Field, see what they got. This is a Kahira deck, 60. Still 13 divided by 60, 21%. Are you seeing a trend here, team? Are you seeing these 20%, 26%, 20%, 20%, 25%, 18%, 60%, 20%? Now, finally, we've come to the grand reveal. Let's go to Hate Bears. Let's go to taxes. Let's bring up this Hate Bear list. This is a Yorion list. How much removal are they running? We have 3 Path to Exile, plus 4 Solitude, plus 4 Sky Collaboration, plus that's it. Now, you know, sometimes Wisp is a removal spell. Sometimes Charming Prince is a removal spell. Sky Collaboration or Solitude. Sometimes those are removal spells. But still, 11 divided by 60 is still 18%. So we're up here with Murktide, maybe. So this list, not so bad. This is pretty good. And it did well. Right? It shows up here. Came in second in this stupid 13-player event. Let's try this Yorion Hate Bear. This Yorion list. That's kind of how much removal they got. That's kind of how much removal they got. Alright. So we got Skyclave, 4. Solitude, 4. 1. Path to Exile. And that's it. We have exactly 4 Skyclaves, 4 Solitudes, and a Path. And then we have like 1. And then again, sometimes Flicker Wisp is removal. Does the Gonjo count? Do you want to count a Gonjo? Sure. We'll throw this list a bone by including a Gonjo. We'll go. And, I mean, I guess we'll count Boseiju as well. Sure. 1 plus 4. 14 spells. Divided by, not 60. Divided by 80. 17%. Still in the low end. So we're still on the, like, Jund Murktide side. Instead of the Black Red Grixis Shadow and the Control Deck side. But, I mean, this also includes, like, Boseiju and a Gonjo. Which, you know, if this is your green source, not a removal spell. If this is your white source, not a removal spell, right? If you have to play it, no longer removal. So these are kind of iffy. Path to Exile is always a removal spell. Solitude is always a removal spell. Apparition, always a removal spell. Right, if we subtract the 5, or we go clear... So we go 4 plus 4 plus 1. If we ignore the lands, you know, we have 80. This deck is running like 11% removal spells, which is not where you want to be. In my opinion. In my opinion. So, what is the point I'm trying to make? The point I'm trying to make is your deck should run 20% removal spells. Now let's look at Empty Goldfish. So let's look at some of their decks here. Let's go to Modern. Let's open up the top Death, or the current Death Shadow deck that they have listed. Right, we have Lightning Bolt, 3, plus Unholy Heat, 3, plus Drown the Lock, 4, plus Colgan's Command, 1. So that's 11 divided by 60. They're 80%. That's without counting Inquisition, Kroxa, Thoughtseize. These three big ones, right? Which are, in my mind, this is an answer. You're answering your opponent's stuff. You are taking cards away from your opponent. All right. Let's look at Murktide. This Murktide list. So we have Lightning Bolt, Spell Pierce, Unholy Heat, Counter Spell. And you know what? We're gonna ignore Charm. 14 divided by 60. 23% removal spells. That's a lot. That's a lot. Let's look at Blue-White Control. Solitude, 4. Plus, maybe we'll ignore Teferi, see what happens. 4 Ending. 4 Counterspell. We're going to ignore Archmage's Charm, so it draws cards. 2 Verdict. We're going to ignore Fire Ice, because it draws cards. So, we've ignored Spreading Seas, Chalice, Fire and Ice, Teferi Time Raveler, Archmage's Charm. We've ignored these cards. Even though they technically can answer your opponent's stuff, they also do other things. They're still running 14 cards that just get rid of your opponent's stuff, right? And this is and this is a 60-card deck. So you divide by 60. They're running like 23% removal spells. Now let's go find Poor Taxes, where it's down here somewhere. Oh boy. Oh boy. Not ENT. Death and Taxes. Alright, the current listed list is Tundaslav, running green and white. How many spells are they running? Skyclave, Solitude, so 8 plus, sometimes Beseju. Is that it? Plus, though, sometimes a Ganjo. Right, that's the main list. We have 13. This is an 80-card deck divided by 80. This deck's running 60% removal spells. Too few. Too few. Too few. Too few. Let's check this red-white list. How many spells are they running, huh? Same. Skyclave, Solitude, yeah. So we have 8 plus Ephemerate sometimes, but sometimes not. What about lands? Land removal. 1 Aganjo. Plus 1. This deck's running, 9 spells, still an 80-card deck. 9 spells that say destroy or exile your opponent's thing. Right? 11%. What are you guys doing? Let's look at my boy, Karen's Oval. Check out his list. I think Karen just actually stumbled into this. Maybe, intentionally by mistake. I don't know. But we will see. Look, oh, dude, Karen's is running 3 companions. Oh, dude, why? He's cracked the code. He's cracked the code. Oh, dude, why isn't Shadow running 3 Luris? Dude, just run it 3 times. The dude is a madman, clearly. Genius. Sometimes, I don't get it, and then he does this. 3 companions. Oh, dude, busted. Huge brain. Huge brain. Good job, Carrots. You cracked the code. 3 companions. That's busted. All right. Anyway, so cards that remove things. We have 3 and 3 is 7. The 76 card special. Yeah, 6-1 cards. This is a sick list. I like this list a lot. It's fun. Yeah, so he's running 7, and then with the conditional of, Ephemerate, Flicker Wisp, that kind of stuff. But only 7 cards in the main deck. Still, divided by 60, 11%. What if he included... So we have the 7, and then you know what? We'll throw him a bone here. We'll include the Blast Zones, plus 4, and these 2 Aganjos, plus 2. Oh, plus 4. Wait, no, clear. Did I do that right? All right, sorry. We'll go 7... +2 +4. Okay. So yes, include these 2 Ganjas, these 4 blast zones. 13 cards divided by 60. All right. So if blast zone is your go-to removal spell, this kind of counts. This kind of counts. But I would like to see more removal spells as spells, not just as these blast zones. Not just a Ganja. So, okay. I've messed with your brain enough. Let's close this out. Where does this leave us with this list? All right, so I was building Blue Eye Control. I was trying to figure out what the heck's going on. I was like, what am I doing wrong? What is Taxes doing wrong? What are we doing here? I gotta eat my Cheerios. What are you doing wrong? And I was like, oh, we need more removal spells. So, I've come to the conclusion, plug this data, see you later, is that your deck should be 20% removal spells. 20%. At least. At least. We see these control decks running upwards of 21 to 26. We see the grindy decks running 25, 18, 16, 20%. We see some of these successful taxes lists running extra, right? Running close to that amount. I think you got to run more. I'm of now the opinion I have 20% removal spells. So that means if you're running 60 cards, this isn't a big Yorion sell. This isn't a big 60 card taxes sell. This is just for if you're playing taxes, up those numbers. So if you're playing 60, power to you. Go with the classics. Love it. Add more removal spells. Times 0.2. You should have 12 cards in your deck that say delete a thing. If you want to try to get cute with Ephemerate and Flicker Wisp, maybe. But sometimes sometimes it's gonna bite you. Right? If I'm in top deck mode, right? Like if I have a hand of Mariner and Vial and Esper Sentinel and Thalia and some Forge Mystic, and then I have I don't know, Ephemerate. There's no removal in this hand. This hand has 0 removal. Ephemerate, sometimes removal. This has no removal. But if I have Prismatic Ending, oh, now we have removal. Look at that. This doesn't need another card. I don't need another. There's no 2 card here. Also, no land hand, so obviously we're gonna mulligan this, but you know what I mean. try to solve a point here. We don't keep these no land hands, but maybe this is already turn 3. You've already played your 3 lands, and you're I don't know, drawing shit. All right, there's actually removal. So if you're on 60, 12 removal spells. This is my decree. I demand it. Up your removal spell count, please. And if you're on 80, times 0.2. 16 removal spells. Minimum. Please do it. 16 spells that say destroy your thing. Exile your thing. Take cards away from your opponent. Which leads us to our list. Ta-da! Blue White Taxes 5-0 list. This is it. Bada bing, bada boom. So let's break it down. What are my 16 removal spells? This list actually, I think, is very clean. It's very cool. It's very streamlined once you put the cards in their compartments into what they do. We'll get to sideboard later. Put that sideboard away. All right, so removal spells. We want 16 of them. So we have 2 March, 2 Ending. So that's 4. You have either 4 Skyclaves, 4 Deputies, 4 Solitudes. 16 removal spells. Mwah. And then we have the bonus Blast Zone, Iganjo, and Otawara as bonus removal spells if you want to include these. So now we're up to 19 removal spells. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Sometimes Field of Ruin is a removal spell. If they have a man land. Do we include Field of Ruin too? No, I won't do that. That's too greedy. Alright, this is our removal spell suite. And then we have our Taxers. Let's move these cards out of the way. We have Esper Sentinel. Pay 1 or we draw cards. We have Athalia. Pay 1 or get disqualified. We have Mariner. Pay one or counter your thing. We have 12 taxer cards. Nice. You know, I would even maybe consider Giver of Runes a taxer. This is a this is kill this, or you can't kill anything else. This is like give other creatures hexproof kind of thing, right? This is like taxing their removal spells. So you have like 12, maybe 16 taxes, depending on how you want to spin it. And then we have threats. You know, we have Third Mystic is our threat. This is Mary Calder land. You know, all this threats, maybe our toolbox also, because then we have this big stack of fun equipment. Look at this. Oh, it's not great. Isn't that fun? We have Aether Vial just for like power, you know, and then map for reasons. For a Saga target, you know, we have like the Saga cards. Here, we can put the Saga cards together. Bada bing, bada boom, bada ba. Look at that. So we have Stoneforge and the equipment. We have our removal suite. So this is kind of how our list is broken into. Right. We have our land base, which also does includes Urza Saga. Urza Saga fetches us Aether Vial, also has constructs. It could even fit in like the threat categories. It's kind of like our like win con over here. Right. We have like a 20 card win con, 16 cards to get there, and 19 cards to stop our opponent. In this win, or in the let's talk about the equipment package here. Let's get Sword out of the way. So Sword of Fire and Ice, classic. Disclaimer, I think after this league, I'm going to cut Sword of Fire and Ice. I'm going to put in Maul of the Skyclaves instead. Sword didn't like cook this league, and it seems just a little slow. Alright, it's kind of removal, but you gotta, it's kind of removal, kind of protection, a little slow. Usually it's like a grind tool. With Eater of Virtue, I think it's good in certain lists, maybe not in this list. Because we're actually running a surprisingly low amount of keywords. Eater of Virtue specifically gets First Strike from Thalia, Flying from exactly Cloudsoul Kirin, and Lifelink from Saltude. These are our Eater of Virtue cards. None of the other cards give Eater of Virtue anything. They give it literally 0. Even these cards do nothing for Eater of Virtue. So, you know, I think Eater of Virtue is an interesting Saga target. It is cheap. It does, buff an attack of a creature by 2. Not bad, but I don't think this is the list for it. We have 9 cards that make it better, and that doesn't seem worth it to me. So anyway. Fire and Ice is generally supposed to be the taxes kind of grind card. You know, we try to fetch it up against like Jund or like Control. Decks are trying to run out of resources because drawing cards is good. But it's also not bad against like Elves or like other decks with like small dinky creatures. But it hasn't been performing for me personally lately. So I'm probably going to sub it for Maul. Which brings me to my next point. Reality Chip. A new addition for Kamigawa. This is our new grind card. This is our new kind of mid-rangey value card, right? This is what I think is for me replaces Sword of Fire and Ice in a blue-white list. You know, it's 2 mana, it doesn't get taxed by Thalia, and it's an 0-4 when it comes in. The equip cost is a little bit more expensive, so when you're comparing Sword of Fire and Ice and Reality Chip, the upfront cost for Chip is cheaper, but the investment cost is higher, right? You got to pay 3 for Sword, 2 for Chip, but you got to pay 2 to equip and 3 to equip. You know, that's kind of how they crisscross here. But you can also Vial Chip in. It's a blocker. And the big thing for me is that when you equip it, well, it doesn't make anything bigger. And you know, it doesn't give protection. It doesn't ping things for 2. It doesn't straight up draw you cards. It does sometimes get a lot of cards off the top of your library. You know, this Sword of Fire and Ice is only going to ever draw you 1 card per turn unless you're, I don't know, playing Mirror Crusader and you're like double striking in there. You know, you hit them twice and then hit with the double ping. Rally chip, I've drawn like 4 cards off this in one turn. It'll be like, Vial, Thalia, land, like a Mariner, and then it'll be out of mana. I'll be like, okay, pass to you, right? And if they kill it, it becomes just like a 0/4 again, which I mean we can equip with College of Complete, Batterskull, Lion Sash, all great options. Shadow Spear, they go 1/5, 1/5 lifelinker, not terrible. I'm still not sold on the chip. It's, when it's good, it's real good. When it's bad, it's pretty medium. Which maybe, isn't too bad. Which is, fine maybe. But I like it. We're going to see, I think we see it in action in this league, but I can't remember. So, I mean, we'll find out soon. Cloudsteel Kieran. At first, I was kind of off it because it's like, okay, this Equip 5 part, it's pretty steep for literally just flying and Platinum Angel text. Turns out this is just a good 3-mana 3/2 flyer that you can tutor off Snowboard Mystic. Yeah, Pelican Man, I agree. I think Chip has a pretty high floor and a really high ceiling. And I think playing one of in a Snowboard Mystic deck is pretty free, especially when you have like Vial. Has some synergy with Urza Saga as well by buffing constructs and stuff. Excuse me. So that's why I think Chip is maybe fine here. I don't know if it's good, but I don't think it's bad. It's in the like not or maybe good, definitely not bad. It's definitely not a bad card. It's a fine card at the minimum. Anyway, Cloudsteel. Turns out that the best part of this card is just being a 3-mana 3/2 flyer that you can equip with Snowboard Mystic and Violin. Sometimes you reconfigure and you get to meme your opponent with Platinum Angel, but a lot of the time, it's just a dude, and that's probably fine. Calder's a classic, can't cut it. Batterskull, classic, can't cut it. Lion Sash, main deck Graveyard Hate, gets big off of any permanent. Dude, this card is sick. Can hide itself from board wipes. Ooh, beautiful. Equipping this makes things really awkward for your opponent. Because if I'm like, all right, I'm gonna equip this onto my Skyclave Apparition. If they have just creature removal, like bolts, unholy heat, that kind of stuff. If this equip happens, they don't want to kill Apparition. They want to kill this, but they got to kill this first. So you can sometimes force your opponent into this kind of like feedback loop, where they kill this, right? This dies. This turns back into a creature. They don't have mana left, or they've done their thing. It goes to you. You're like, okay, I'll play Thalia and then equip again. And now they're back in the same spot. We have another like huge dude with the sash hiding behind it, and then they got to kill Thalia. And then the Abyss is still here, right? And we're like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna equip it to our Giver runes. And it's like, fuck, they still have a giant dude, but I keep killing it over and over again. So it could definitely turn things against your opponent pretty quick if you just like kind of suck them into killing the equipped creature over and over again if they can't find the mana to like double spell in one turn. Like if you have Thalia Mariner out, or like Sentinel makes this really awkward to try and kill. If you just keep like equipping onto things, you're like, well, it's already giving things +2/+3. That's good enough for me. Equip. And then it's just like, how do I kill this fucking Lion Sash, dude? They keep putting on new things, and I have to kill a thing, and then the Sash falls off, and then, if they're just running out of removal, you're like, all right, I'll just hit you with a 4/4 then. It's awesome. Let's go with the Saga. Yeah. So we're playing Saga. The Saga targets are 4 Aether Vial, 2 Shadow Spear, 1 Exhibition map. The map gets us more Sagas, but also we have a bit of a land toolbox in our deck here. We have the Otawara, we have the Blast Zone, we have the Aganja, we have 2 Field of Ruin, and then we have the additional Sagas that we can all pull off of the map, which is not too bad. So if we need some sort of mercy removal, deal 4 damage something, blow up some 1-drop with Hammer, bounce a big thing with Otawara, all great. All great. At least that's a little kind of catch-all answer. It doesn't mean we're not playing any like efficient hate with our Saga. Right, it's not like our opponent has to like play on Pithing Needle or like Relic in game 1, which I mean they might still, but we don't have those options, which is sad. In addition, I want to talk about some Urza Saga synergy that we have as well. So we have, of course, these 6 artifacts that we fetch off Saga. But also we have artifacts in the main deck that buff the construct tokens. So we have our entire equipment package, all this fun stuff. And we have our Esper Sentinels as well. So look at that. We have a good 16 artifacts to buff our Saga tokens. Make them, they're often, 4/4s, 5/5s, which is which is in most games good enough. Right? We're not Affinity. We're not the best Saga deck. We're not utilizing Saga to its max. We're not pumping out 10 Saga tokens like Affinity or Hammer or anything like that. But against most other decks, pump out a couple 4/4s, a couple 5/5s, totally reasonable, totally fine, great against a lot of decks. Hard for them to deal with, especially since they were basically free. You get like 3 cards off of 1 card, right? You get your 2 Saga tokens plus like a Shadow Spear or like a map to then do it all over again. And I think that's the list. Or that's the main deck, I guess. Let's talk about March and ending for a little bit. I'm still divided on this. As you can tell, I'm running 2 of each. They both have their ups and downs. We're playing the 1 Godless Shrine in our main deck here. To make ending up to X equals 3. Is that worth it? Maybe. I think so. Ending is pretty good. Of course, ending is really good against 1 mana permanents, 2 mana permanents, that kind of stuff. Right? It's an easy 1-for-1. They spend 1 mana, we spend 1 mana. They spend 2 mana, we spend 2 mana, that kind of stuff. It is, however, sorcery speed. And it caps out at 3, maybe. A lot of our hands can easily be like Plains, Plains, Urza Saga, like Hengate Pathway. And of course, that's only ending for 2. Which is sad. Which is most definitely sad. Which is why we have these marches as well. So marches are like backup, also kind of catch-all answer, right? These things answer basically any permanent. March excels especially against tokens and Urza Saga, hilariously, because it exiles an enchantment, right? Exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment with mana value X or less. So you can, hilariously, you can do like turn 1 Plains, and then if your opponent goes turn 1 Urza Saga, you just go in response to the initial trigger before you get mana, exile Urza Saga for 1 mana. And they're like, what the fuck, dude? That's cheating. You're like, yeah, dude, I'm a cheater. And they're going to call a judge on you. And then the judge is going to be like, dude, that's sick. What the fuck? And that's it. So we're on a split right now, because they both have their strengths and weaknesses. I don't know which one is better for this deck. That is yet to be seen. They both are great. I'm enjoying the 2-2 split, since they both have their ups and downs. Yeah. For removal, we have Solitude, can't leave home without it. And then we have everyone's favorite Skyclave Apparition and Deputy of Detention. I was originally running just Deputy, and then these used to be Archon of areas, until I was like, we need more removal. And then I swapped these Skyclaves, never looking back. It feels great. And that's the main deck. Alright, so let's go to the sideboard. Man, this intro is long. We've been going for, what, 48 minutes? Holy shit, this is quite the lecture. Maybe I'll turn this part, actually, into its own video, and then we'll do the league as, like, a second video, So people don't have to... If they don't want to watch theory, then they don't have to. Sideboard. The Oregon, of course. We have 3 Saga targets out of the board. We have additional grave hate and Relic of Generatus. I'll take up our exile card from graveyard, exile all cards from all graveyards, draw a card. Pretty good. We have Pithing Needle for activated abilities, mainly equipment or like Urza Sagas on our opponent's side. We're not too sad to play Pithing Needle on or naming Urza Saga, mainly because if we are in if we're in a situation where we're needling Saga, our opponent is usually better than us anyway. So us losing a couple 3/3s, or being able to make a couple 3/3s, is a much better, or is fine if we're preventing our opponent from making a couple 10/10s, right? So fine exchange. Spell Bomb is a flexible removal spell. It's also a concession against Turok. Damn you, Turok. You pro-white bastard. Oh, you can't see these cards. They're in there in the chat. Sorry. I'm dragging cards underneath the chat. Love mouse. So we have Spellbomb here. Sorry. Spellbomb. But also sometimes it can save your own dude. Right? We can use Spellbomb to like bounce a Deputy or a Skyclave or a Reality Chip or like a Salt or something to reuse it, that kind of stuff. It's pretty flexible. It's nice. But mainly used as just like that one extra two-tool removal spell, you know, because there's some decks like Hammer or Affinity where like buying one turn can make all the difference. And so having Spellbomb up to just constantly threaten to bounce your opponent's all-in Hammer swing is just, it just kind of fucks up all their like play patterns, right? They would love to just slam 2 hammers on Ornithopter and swing at you, right? Or just animate Igmoth and then swing at you. And then, you know, Scarlet's get the hammer in afterwards. But in this Spellbomb just, you know, ambiently affects the board so that they have to wait longer to either for us to tap out, which we're probably not going to do, or for them to draw like a second hammer or something, or like some other way to beat a single Spellbomb, right? They need like double hammer or something like that. The rest of our sideboard, we have 2 Fortuners for red hate. I keep cutting into Fortuners because I just keep thinking, man, we just lose against Fury, so fuck it. You know, Fortuner isn't saving us. But part of me can't part of me can't let it go. So we're gonna keep this Kid King Wizard around for a little longer. But it does exactly what it says it does. Hoses red stuff. We also bring this in against decks with red removal. You know, Bolt, Heat, Colgan's Command, that kind of stuff. Because blanking one of those is great. If you ever blanked a Searing Blaze with a Burnt Fortune, there is. It might be the best use of this card. It'd be like 1 mana, stop your 2 mana spell, prevent 6 damage, save my creature. Burrington does give Eater of Virtue pro red. Interesting. Interesting. Well, moving on. We have 4 Kentucky Wars Wage because fuck Artifact decks. I was getting my ass beat by Affinity so much. And Kentucky just says, fuck you, Affinity. I hate you. Everyone, you know, especially with Kamigawa, a lot of artifact synergy in that set. Everyone's playing with artifacts. God damn, Kataki's doing work lately. Holy shit, I love this card. It just decimates some decks. It is literally just 2 mana, win the game. It is so broken. Mwah, so good. We have Lion Sash. You know, Exiles, card for graveyard, additional graveyard hate. I like having the second one for the main deck, right? Man, because for the decks that you want this kind of effect in, you know, Delirium decks, Dredge, any kind of deck that even slightly works out of the graveyard. I like having second line Sash because in game 1 you'll probably tutor the first one, or they'll expect it. So in game 2 they're probably gonna bring some hate for Lion Sash. You know, they'll see the first one, they blow it up, but they never expect the second one. It also increases your chances of drawing it naturally. So that's why I like this bonus Lion Sash in the sideboard. I think this is like some Metcalf tech that I stole. I believe Metcalf was playing a second Sash to the side. I was like, I like that. I like second Lion Sash to the side. That's very nice. We have Skydiver, because if you haven't figured out already, I really hate artifact decks. You know, it lets me steal hammers, constructs, other equipment, anything as long as I've got the 2 extra mana to pour into this thing than they did. And then finally we have Dress Down. Dress Down is also just a concession to Fury, Primeval Titan, or other ETB decks, you know, like Humans. It's funny against Spirits because it removes all their buffs and their flying and their hexproof, which is kind of great. And it cycles. And that's it. That's the tech. All right, thanks for going to my seminar. We're going to start recording for YouTube now, and then we're going to re-record, and then we're going to start it again to go into these leagues now, because this video is already a good 54 minutes, and that seems a little bit egregious to have 54 minutes of tooting my own horn and then going into actual games. So, If if this deck interests you, we're gonna do a replay of our 5-0. If I considered map or Hall of Heliod's as a tutor target for map. So it does let us loop Sagas and Dress Down out of the sideboard. However, I think that's very slow. I don't mind the Dress Down synergy, but looping Sagas is very slow. So I mean, let's look at Heliod's Hall of Generosity. Hey, Heliod's Hall of Generosity. Thanks. The issue with this card and Saga is that this part on top of your library. This is the weird part. So you have to pay 3 mana to put a Saga back on top of your library. So then you have to draw the card, and then you have to play the Saga. So it's so you need 1 turn to haul the card on top of your deck, a 2nd turn to play the Saga, and then on the 3rd turn, then you get to start making constructs. When creating a map, map is still 1 turn to play the map, or it's still like 3 mana, so still same mana as Heliod's Hall, but it puts it into your hand. Puts it directly into your hand. So you're not denying yourself a draw, and you get it right away. You don't have to wait a turn, right? Regardless, unless you have, because we have no card draw on this deck, so unless you do some fancy shit with Esper Sentinel, the soonest that you're gonna get a Saga F of Hall is your next turn, or you gotta do this in like your upkeep, right? But you're still replacing a draw with Hall. Expedition Map does not replace a draw with Urza Saga; it just puts it straight in your hand. So I think Heliod's Hall is a bit of a trap. I haven't tried it myself personally, but it just seems super slow, like glacial slow. Spirit Companion though. If you're playing Spirit Companion, I don't hate that plan. I don't hate going, end step, Heliod's Hall, Companion on top, draw Companion, play Companion, draw a card. I don't hate that at all. That's pretty good. That's much faster than Urza Saga. Right? Because, best case scenario, Urza Saga, you're making a construct 3 turns after you want to. Right? Because on turn 1, you're putting Saga on top. Turn 2, you're drawing it, and then you're playing it. And then turn 3, you get to make a token out of it. And then turn 4, you make a 2nd token, and then maybe make a 2nd token, and then get a thing. So that's why I think Heliod's Hall is a little bit slow for this deck. And that's the list. That's the list. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that shit. And if you want to see the deck in action, check out my next video right after this, because we're going to go over my 5-0 league and see this deck do some crazy shit. So let's rock and let's roll. See you later, YouTube, or maybe see you in literally 2 seconds. All right, bye-bye.